Rebirthology, where soul remembers how to be limitless. Rebirthology, how do you rise so free? Limitless love, that's the code in me. Born from the ashes, polished in gold, I'm the story my ancestors told. Rebirthology, limitless living. Mind meets mystic, soul keeps winning. Limitless, 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 limitless. Rebirthology, where soul remembers how to be.
Welcome to Rebirth Sunday, Lottie Dottie and everybody. It's so good to have you in the house on the final Sunday that we covered this Return of the Matriarchy series, okay? It's not the final for Rebirth because we're going to rebirth a new theme, a new series at the top of the year, but this is the final installation of our Return of the Matriarchy series. And I tell you, it's been both an education and an activation, even for me, to be obedient to this particular share. So let me just say, I know that those of you who are in the tribe, you are on Zoom, and that's intentional. That's intentional. And this is the second month that we've done this, because after we finish this, we have tribe talks, and we are able to dissect and take in the information that we've received, because the old model is that you only are told, and you don't get a chance to process. You don't get a chance to share your prophetic, your belly leaps, your confirmation, your affirmation in spaces. And that's probably why oftentimes it doesn't last. And so we've been conditioned to put all of our relationship with the divine in us on through somebody else or through something else. And so today, we are broadcasting in several places. I really don't even know if the Facebook is working. If you're watching on Facebook, let us know, because every time with this technology, they're constantly upgrading. It really is a word to us. Because you can come back one day and that you might get a little notice when you log in that something has changed, and you got to figure it out. So this is how it is. And so if you're watching on Facebook, let me know. I do have it, have us here on YouTube intentionally, because we always broadcast on YouTube on Sundays anyway. Yes. But those of you who are subscribed to the channel, thank you so much, because you get a notification. And we probably are going to move into 2026 just like this, where I come after we finish here into the tribe talk. So don't feel torn or feel like where are we? If you are a tribe member, you should know where we are. There's an event, a link, and we are in the same place at the same time all the time. Now, Dana had some technicalities getting in, only because of her credentials. So I'm just giving you, thank you. Yay. I know somebody's watching on Facebook, so it's working. So Minister Dana is holding it down, and thank you, because, there's a bit of a panic when it's not working at the last minute, or you all can't log in at different times. So I just wanted to go on and handle that so we can clear our minds and be available to the energy. Listen, we just came through a Gemini super full moon, and this particular full moon was not like any other one. Even me as a Gemini, I had to ask myself, like, wait a minute. I kind of dismissed it and it caught me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how this ties into this particular energy that we are in right now. So we're in we're clearing the last installation of the return of the Matriarchy series. And the principle is life, as you can see on the screen. Life. The color is red. Got a little red. I stepped outside of my comfort zone. Oh my God. My Uncle Tony is watching on Facebook. So let me just take a minute. Before I get into this, go any deeper, let me just tell you something, honey. I am tailor made. I am a daddy's girl. And any one of my uncles is like having my daddy's presence. And I'm going to try not to get emotional, but to know that a tailor is watching me. And so shout out to you. Happy Sunday, Uncle Tony. Thank you for watching your niece. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And yes, you do bring the presence of daddy, of granny, of all of our line, just by being here. So thank you so much for watching. And so that is special to me. So let me just tap back in. If that isn't a knock from spirit, boy, I tell you, even though we're talking about the matriarchy, I think it's absolutely a perfect tie-in. So the principle of life, when we look at the 12 spiritual powers, we receive a disciple that matches the power, the principle of power. And you can see that there's two disciples mentioned here, which is Thaddeus and Judas. And I have been covering the role of the matriarchy. We also have been using cards like this as well, which tells us the body area, which is the reproductive organs. Now I'm going to bring all of this together because you cannot make this up when you really dive into the energy, not the denomination, not any of just a translation, but when you deal with principles, they begin to link you from one thing to the next. Okay. So in this principle of life, we have the color of red symbolizing life force and rootedness and vitality and courage and bloodline. And it's connected to the reproductive organs. This is the area of the body. So as we're talking about life, we're talking about the woman. We're talking about the merge of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So I want to just say to you, if you're traditional, bear with me, hear me to the end, because if prayer alone was going to fix it, it would have been fixed by now. I know we are a praying people, but if it was just prayer, if we look at the chaos, the number of churches that's on every corner in our urban communities, if it was just prayer that was supposed to fix it, it would have been quote unquote fixed a long time ago. So what is happening in the atmosphere that we are at the end of a season and end of the cycle? I just want to say, get ready, because we are not in a season of begging heaven. We're in a season of becoming aligned. Abundance is not about money first. When we hear abundance, we tend to merge it with prosperity, but it's not just about money first. Abundance is really the new identity in this season that we're in. And that is why I have been going through the archetypes. I've been going through realigning and doing the research as we move through this series. When you don't know who you are, you overgive, you underprice, you overpay, you overpray, you under receive. In other words, There's a undercompensation energy that's happening at all times when you don't fully know who you are. You don't fully know your value. And so therefore life sometimes can become stressful. There can be a question about life. And so when we talk about this energy of life, what's going on in your life right now? What's going on in your life right now? What are you giving energy to in your life? What's taking energy from you in your life? What's going on? Because our life is always giving us feedback. Our life is always giving us feedback. So what's the feedback that your life is giving you right now? Because this is where we start to layer and apply color therapy. This is where we apply energetic therapy. Because oftentimes we look for an escape in the traditional Judaic, the three major religions, Judaic religions gives us some type of escape. God is going to fix it. So therefore, I don't tap into the God inside of me. But your life is giving you feedback. And when it's time to shift, when it's time to move, when it's time to show up, then what is it that we're doing? What are we calling forth? What strongholds are we pulling down? Or are we just recycling the same old scripture, but we haven't changed our mind? We haven't put new wine or in a new wine bottle. We keep on trying to put it in old wine skin. God doesn't bless confusion. God in us, as us, and through us. I'm talking about us being the blessing, us giving the blessing. Source is another word that you'll hear me interchange for those of you who only say God. Sometimes God is such a heavy energy and it's debatable for some people. Because who is God to you if it's not you? Source doesn't fund insecurity. So if you're having a money issue and you've been praying to the God outside of yourself and you're looking for source and resources, it doesn't fund insecurity. The God energy, the source of all of life, doesn't fund insecurity. In fact, when we talk about money, if it's going on in our life, a lot of times it matches energy. Come on now. Could check this out. Money matches energy, which is going to bring me to the reckoning energy that is on the planet. We've been thinking that the reckoning is just a docu-series about Diddy. And if you've been entertained by the Netflix documentary about Diddy and not looking at the feedback in your own life, where is there a reckoning? First, you got to know what a reckoning is. Because the entertainment industry studies all of these spiritual principles so that they can continue to have mind control over people who are just entertained. But if you are one who is entertaining, you're entertaining something higher, a higher level, a higher message, I'm talking to you. This may go over the head of people who are still just entertained. So I'm talking to the healers. I'm talking to the metaphysicians. I'm talking to the disruptors, because disruptive energy is anointed right now to reveal the truth of what has been hidden. But if we're looking only to a 50 Cent or to a Candace Owens or to one party over another party to reveal the truth, first, can you handle the truth that needs to be revealed in your own bloodline about your own self? Spirit also does not reward self-betrayal, because this is why when I started to do the study, it was very interesting that, in some of the charts that go through the 12 powers, it focuses on Judas. The original version focuses on Judas, but that Judas energy makes people uncomfortable because it's a betrayal energy. So people switched it to Thaddeus. Isn't that interesting? I want to connect that dot in a minute. Charles Fillmore said, life is the faculty that makes conscious and subconscious mind active. It is the energy that propels all forms into action. So just right now, just affirm right now that I am filled with the life of spirit. Vitality flows through me. I express the divine energy and sacred purpose. The power of life is associated with the color red. There's an embodiment here. The blood that's speaking through your veins. It activates lower energy centers, which oftentimes is shame, because now we're talking about your fertility, your sexual energy, but also your ability, our ability to create. We're in the region of the root chakra, really in a little bit into the sacral chakra. So then we're talking about security and survival. When this power is aligned, we do not live in reaction. The scripture that we're working with is I came to give life and to give it abundantly. Now, it's interesting to see the duality of discipleships here, because sometimes this duality of discipleship, it functions in our life too. Judas symbolizes the betrayal of identity. And if you've been living long enough, then you have some testimony somewhere of where you betrayed yourself. You know, I have my own story, and I tell this oftentimes, that there were times that in my life where I've been betrayed by other people. But when I betrayed myself, that was the worst one to recover from. It took years to recover from my own self-betrayal. And even when I thought I was healed and ready to date again, to do certain, or even in my new marriage, there were times the self-betrayal from the old marriage was still teaching me about the areas that I had denied myself, because your God self is always speaking to you. You know that thing called intuition? And you say, oh, something told me not to do that. Well, that something is that voice of God in you, as you, and through you. And when that something continues to whisper to you, and you move forth anyway, out of loyalty, out of people pleasing, out of not having the right information, not having enough information, then it's very easy for betrayal to happen. Betrayal is so insidious, particularly if you only can see yourself through the lens of, I need money. How many of you even feel like you betrayed yourself when you got the shot? Something told you not to do it, but the pressure, the fear, you said, I gotta keep this job. I can't be without. I don't know what's gonna happen. All of us have had moments in our life of self-betrayal, not finishing cycles, not finishing school, not going back when we're called to something higher. All of us have had betrayals. So there is Judas as a reference. Then Thaddeus represents healing, faith, divine process, and a quieter path of restoration. Because this is the season where we tend to go within, even though the commercial holidays starts to pull us to focus without, which oftentimes takes us off of our circadian rhythm. It's very easy for this time to be filled with loneliness, shame, guilt, and you don't tell anybody. This also is an opportunity during this time to review your life from the choices of all the other 11 months. And we always have a Gemini full moon at the end of the year, but this super moon was different because Mercury was in Scorpio, so this energy was very, very intense. This was a moon to reveal things in us where there were patterns of repetition. This came to pull the veil off of things that we had been hiding to ourselves, pushing down, matters of the heart, even traumas, old wounds. And you say, well, I did the work. I thought I did the work on that. I thought I dealt with that. Why is this coming up? Why did it come up like this suddenly out of nowhere? Because we are in a 9-year. In fact, the next couple of days we're going to start transitioning out of the 9 and preparing for the year of the 1. This 9-year has been loaded. This is why knowing yourself and what archetype are you dominant with is important. But I won't go there yet. I want to lay this foundation. So bear with me. We may go a little longer than our just quick time of just getting in, dropping it like it's hot, because it is hot. In fact, it may feel like everything is on fire with the volcanoes erupting. Nature has been speaking. The volcanoes that have been erupting have been asleep for beyond many of our lifetimes, and they have a domino effect. The ones that have been set off in Asia, the ones that have been asleep have a domino effect of setting others off. That's kind of like our life. An eruption, a volcano, a fire, hot liquid, a rage that could come up. Disclosures are happening on the earth that is erupting in every industry. Campbell's soup. Come on now, talk to me. You talk back in the comments. Let me know you understand Campbell's soup. How many of your grandmamas use Campbell's soup and every time you got sick and you didn't know you were eating 3D printed meat? How many of you dance with Bad Boy? Hey, I wasn't a big Bad Boy fan. Intuitively, I think my third eye was open then, and I didn't know why. How many of you have even watched the Netflix documentary on that? In fact, there are several Netflix documentaries of disclosures. You think it's an accident, or are you paying attention to the pattern? Are you paying attention to I'm asking you, talk back to me in the comments. Are you paying attention to the pattern of the weather? Are you paying attention to the pattern in the industries? Are you paying attention to the pattern in you? Judas and Thaddeus shows us where we need to align, because this is a conversation in energy of reckoning and redemption. Now, when I started to do this research, I was very clear that the reckoning that we see is a code. The reckoning is a code. And you know, the word says, study and show thyself approved. Even when I'm coming to teach, and I don't care what download I've gotten, I will exegete the text. And if you can see today, you can see I'm not heavy on a whole lot of scriptures, but I am giving you disciples. Because you too are a disciple, but I want to show you how, because this was a code. Because I was working with this energy of redemption, right? Working with this energy of the return of the matriarch, because the other disclosures that I've been paying attention to, I'm starting to sweat. Don't judge me. This is spirit moving. So if you see this little red pop off as my prop to be in alignment with the color, it's probably because, technically speaking, I'm not supposed to really wear the color red. I have taboos, so let me just take it off since I said it, so I can get some air. Okay, I want you to work with me. As I was doing this, I said, okay, I saw some patterns. And I said, okay, now this reckoning is a code. What day did the reckoning come out? And the reckoning came, the day it was released was the December 2nd, but I had to do the numbers on it. That was one code. But then I started to look at some of the other disclosures that are coming out. How many of you have watched The Harder They Fall? I think I'm saying it right. The Western movie that's also on Netflix, I believe, or on Prime. And then there's the other cowboy movie. Help me out, because I had it at the tip of the tongue where they were documenting the history and the erasure of Black cowboys and cowgirls who were officially called cow hands, but to diminish the presence when enters the European into our world, meaning because we were already here. They changed them to diminish them to cowboys. Thank you, Peacock. Okay, thank you. Tell me the name of it, because I think you all should watch it if you haven't. It's a beautiful docu-series as well. I had it at the tip of my tongue before I came in. High Horse. That's what it is, High Horse. And so all of this is when this sermon started to speak to me, because I saw the land speaking. I've covered several powers and matriarchs that are tied to our birthright. It seemed appropriate to close out this series with the land. I got to scribbling notes. The mother started to speaking to me. And I said, oh my goodness, the farmer. You know, it's so funny. I got a little touched because my Uncle Tony came into the room, and my grandmother, his mother, used to get up every morning and go outside to her garden. She would, when you woke up in the morning, my granny, his mother, was already outside picking fruit, watering, doing things. She, preparing her garden. And she had a very fruitful garden. And our people were connected to the land. We used to have an uncle who owned a farm, and we would go out to his farm just to visit him. Tall, black man, okay? Blue, black. And we would go, and he would have chickens, and we would sometimes just diminish it to sharecropping. But there's a story in the sharecropper, because we have been disconnected to the land, which disconnects us to our birthright and to our stories. And so the disclosures that is happening is very much a return of the matriarch. Why? Because it's often mama that keeps the record. It's mama that wrote the details in the Bible. It's mama who tells the story, and grandmama. My granny told us who we were and where we were from. So I started to research, well, who is the goddess? Who is the divine feminine that complements Thaddeus? I like New Thought. I like Unity. I like Metaphysics, but they sometimes too leave out the feminine energy. So I started to really dive into what this message that Spirit was saying to me. Why are you telling me to pay attention to the cowgirl? Who is the cowgirl energy in our sacred mythology? Y'all know who the cowgirl energy is in our sacred mythology? I don't care what tradition you represent, put it in the comments if you know, because we're not confined to one traditional system, one ancient system. And oftentimes it's hidden in plain sight. Do you know what goddess is the energy of the land? Okay, well, let me help you out, because y'all taking too long in the comments. You can still put it in there. Y'all taking too long. She is Hathor. Yes, she is Hathor. And I said, okay, Hathor, because Hathor plays a role in Easter as well. But I didn't want to go in that direction. I started to study Hathor. And I started to study because oftentimes when we're looking, okay, Kali is one, but she governs fire. We're looking at land. So I'm looking, I said, okay, now most of the time when we focus on life energy, we are always focused on the waters, Yemoya energy, Mami Wata energy, the waters of life, right? But then I began to dive into the interplay of these two mothers, the water mother and the land mother, because they go together to create our farm, our crops. The water, the sweet waters nurture the life, not salt water. Hear what I'm saying? Because the water is much more mystical. The water it's much more pure. The sea water, the ocean water. We're talking about the sweet waters. Y'all with me? So when we look at the mother of mothers, she is not just Big Mama. She is the root of the root. She is the landholder. She's the record keeper. She's the bloodline matron, and she may be you. Because if you're under the sound of my voice, if you have this knowledge, this wisdom, this information, and you still have life in your body, there's a reason for your life that is beyond just getting money, just getting retirement, just getting. In all thy getting, get understanding, but don't just stand under it, stand in it. Get understanding. This energy, the mother of mothers, governs agriculture, family banking, birthright, oral tradition, the contracts that did not make it to the courtroom. This energy governs treaties that stole our identity. So when we talk about the $5 Indian, when we're doing our genetics, that's important. It was in our face the whole time. The $5 Indian got into a contract with the government that was stealing the land from our people that were already here. That's why the story of High Horse and Black Cowboys and the interplay between the so-called Indian, the red man, where did they come from? Just this thing with immigration and immigrants being on this land, coming to this land of milk and honey is not new. It's an ancient story. That's how come when you do your genealogy and you say, I'm Choctaw, and you go look at the pictures and Google the picture of the current Choctaw and Cherokee, they look Asian. Because there was something happening called the Conjure Wars. There was things that were happening when our men had to leave our land and go fight another war. And when they were gone, another group came in, and this is when the fighting began. Oh my goodness. She's not a metaphor. She is a frequency, the mother of mothers. And I like that you put Kali in the comments, A. Jones, because when we get to the reckoning, it is a Kali Ma energy. Because what is a reckoning? I want to come back to Hathor in a minute, because Hathor has a code, and I want to tell you the balance. A reckoning is not revenge. Somebody wants to make 50 cents out to be for something for revenge, but I will tell you, most of y'all have no idea, and I say y'all on this one, what really goes on in that industry. It's not made up. It's not conspiracy theory. I promise you, I don't want to make this live about that. But the reckoning is not reactive. A reckoning is when someone has been done wrong, that time has passed, and they're coming back for restoration. A biblical reckoning speaks to Matthew 25, which is a number 7. I'm getting to this 7 in a minute. What did you do with what I gave you is basically what Matthew 25 says. What did you do with what I gave you? There's several examples of reckonings in the Bible. Then there's historical reckonings, a confrontation with everything that was erased from our archives. The example, the research said it was Rwanda, because there was a genocide happening until the forces that be stood up and said, no, you got to give those people back what you took from them after all of the bloodshed. There's movies even about Rwanda. Then there's the spiritual reckoning, the death of the false self and the rebirth of the soul's blueprint. Now, this is where this Gemini full moon energy comes into play, because it brought the energy of reckoning. And December 2nd, when the actual docuseries about Diddy came out, it brought the message of reckoning. Hollywood always is giving, they have to tell you, demons, beasts, people who do all of the other low vibrational stuff, they have to tell you. If you don't catch it, that's on you. And Elijah Muhammad said that they will always give you a peep into their plans, but most of us are entertained, so we're not paying attention. So I said, okay, what day did this come out? So I added that. That was a 7. I just told you about Matthew 25. That was a 7. And in the reckoning energy, it's a code being unlocked in this 9 year. Now, what's interesting is this 9 is the year of the 9, which represents endings, beginnings, new birth, but it also represents death. And in order for something to be reborn, see, we are in love with the story and the whole image of, oh, butterflies, my favorite totem. But butterflies have short lifespans. That's one of the reasons why I shifted Juicy from Juicy Butterflies to the She Rose, because butterflies have short lifespans. Because death, there's a death process. There's a transformation, a liquefying process that must happen for the butterfly to go from being the caterpillar to get wings and color. People are unhinged right now because truth is breaking the cage. And there's some people, and you hear me speaking, like there's some people who want to be caged. When you want certainty, you're addicted to certainty. You want to be caged. You don't know how to be free. And there's some of you who were born to be free. And you've known for years. And you can't hold on to the lies that the life force is pushing out of you, even in your own bloodline. We just came through 6 planets in retrograde. And slowly they've been coming out. So that the intensity even of that energy is on the planet. Now, the reckoning energy is about restoring what was lost, what was stolen, where you were lied to. Reckoning is a code. Now, I said I was going to come back to this because when I looked at Hathor, I said, okay, Hathor, since the reckoning is a code, and we're looking at the divine feminine and the power that balances out Thaddeus and Judas, it was interesting that there are 7 Hathors, not just one. So then I had to go down that rabbit hole. 7 Hathors. There was the number 7 again, another code. Because the 7 Hathors have different roles and they're in different locations. And eventually I got to the point where it says Hathor also is not just about one archetype, one person, it's a frequency. It also is a code. Y'all ready for this? So I said, well, who is what would it when we talk biblically, because some of y'all need to know it biblically. Well, who is the female complement of a Thaddeus? Well, her name was Tabitha. Y'all know Tabitha Brown has been under fire, but she's been holding firm with her love energy, with her clarity about knowing who she is, because identity is abundant. Tabitha, she is the healer resurrected. Come on now. Who are we? The mother of mothers, Tabitha. When I researched Tabitha, I really got excited about Tabitha, because Tabitha is the only woman that's documented to have been resurrected. There's a resurrection happening in the rebirth of our matriarchy. Tabitha she clothed the women. Let me tell you a little bit about Tabitha. She clothed the widows. She covered the widows. She made sure the forgotten was seen. Ooh, I'm getting happy about this. And when she died, Peter raised her from the dead. I don't think we can't move on from there. When she died, Peter raised her from the dead. It didn't say that Jesus raised her from the dead. It said Peter raised her from the dead. And Spirit got to speaking to me again, because again, in the unity system, they always lead with the male archetypes that align with the principle of life. But as we close out this year, we're being told that there has to be a restoration between the mother, the son energy. Okay, y'all with me? Peter saved her. So brothers, you're not off the hook. And men are coming online to do their work to heal their feminine, their mother wound. It is the resurrection, the defense of women, the covering of women. Wait a minute. Let me pause for a minute, because I need to tell you that the deity and the entity that Diddy had on his back was I always mess up her name, Ezrazuli, a Haitian goddess. Deity, entity, who was fierce in her protection of mothers and children. He put that on his back. If y'all don't believe that energy is real, we cannot make this up. He put Ezrazuli. Most people, I was told by one of the participants in our rites of passage, that some Haitians won't even speak her name. That's how fierce and feared she is, because when you work with her, you better be prepared to do right by women. Oh, the code is unlocking. So Tabitha was also a disciple. And Peter raised her from the dead. Peter was one of the first ones that Jesus said, get out of the boat. Peter, I like Peter because Peter had a mouth on him. He had the nerve to question things. Peter had a little smart mouth on Peter, but it make his flaws did not make him unready for Jesus to say, on this rock, this hard stone, I build my church. So here is Peter, who got empowered, but he had to get out of the boat. And even though he fell through the waters, Jesus taught him something about him believing, his mindset, his thought process. So Peter, which represents the faculty of faith, had to go restore Tabitha. I'm talking to the Tabithas in the chat. I'm talking to the Tabithas who are being turned on, who are being activated in your divine feminine. I'm talking to the Tabithas who have said, yes to life. I'm talking to the Tabithas who now you're taking on the energy of your grandmother. You are remembering the bloodline. You are studying not only your genealogy, but you are activating your DNA by healing yourself, by telling yourself the truth, by stopping the betrayal. I'm talking to the Tabithas who need to pick up your sick bed and walk. I'm talking to the Tabithas who are disciples. I'm talking to the Peters who need to go back and get the Tabithas. We don't need black men criticizing everything that we do, but black women, we cannot be so such a much that a man cannot tell us something about ourselves that will pull us up from the grave. Who am I talking to this morning? Spirit is raising Tabithas again, not to sew garments, not to just cover the widows, but to weave the inheritance that we were told to forget. We were told to forget. We were told that we were from Africa, because if you look to another continent where you were not from, then you forfeit your birthright in this one, on this land. Because oh my God, there's so much I could tell you about farmland. There's so much I can tell you about the farmland right now that people are farming on that is ours. And that is the greatest fear of this nefarious being on this planet, is that you, Tabitha and Peter, will wake up. And yes, there have been many Judases amongst us. There's been so many Judases in the hip hop industry. In the hip hop industry. And there's been Judases in movements. Every movement, every time we got to a place of awakening, there's been a Judas. There's been a Judas in the Nation of Islam. There's been a Judas in the Black Panther Party. There's been a Judas in the red, black, and green, whatever you want to call it. There's been a Judas to keep us confused and mixed up and calling us everything except what we are: indigenous Asiatics here on this planet. Who am I talking to? Your grandmama told you that we were Indians. You don't just have a little Indian in you. You are the Indian. But let me keep going. Yeah, I get excited. And in this season of my life, I ain't apologizing for this level of excitement, because I too have betrayed myself to make everybody comfortable and to be a bridge, because I could have been the woman I could have been a Tabitha who was not resurrected. Peter is like Morpheus in the Matrix. Let me keep going. Peter is like Morpheus who went to get Neo. But there was no Neo without a Trinity. Everybody needs a Morpheus in your life. You get to take the red pill. Why is it that it's the red pill or the blue pill? Morpheus say you can take the red pill. And you can go down Alice in Wonderland, down this rabbit hole, or you can take the blue pill and you can go back to sleep. I invite you today, if you've been following me, take the blue pill and unfollow me, because I've been talking red pill talk for 20 plus years. I thought that it was just to be a bridge, because I wanted somebody to come and get me. I'm glad that I was able to awaken, but it was in my DNA to be Tabitha for myself first. It's in your DNA. You thinking that you're healing your mother wound, the molestation, the family betrayal, the rejection, the abandonment, your daddy issue. You think that you're doing that just so you can get a husband or get a wife. That's part of it, because we need the family. But it's deeper than that. It's beyond just sensuality, because Hathor, the mother's a mother, she does represent fertility and sensuality and sexuality and reproduction and all of that. It's a starting point. It's a door. It's a portal to access another part of your divine feminine that has a purpose, that has a calling, that has a mission. And it's important because if we're talking about land and family banking, and your family can't even talk to each other, or they don't respect you in your family, you may have to go with the family that you choose. Because some people in our family can't hear us until we can solve their problems, their money problem, their man problem, or whatever. What can you do for me kind of energy. So that means that some of us have to play a bigger game going into this 1 year. You're not playing a bigger game to be accepted. You're not playing a bigger game to prove anything to them. But in order for you to set up the family again, the principles have to work for you, for us. Because otherwise they say, what are you doing? Is that working for you? You know how they get indignant? You know how they get an attitude? Is that working for you? Tell me I'm lying. Tabitha also had a 7 code. 7, the number of completion. 7 and 9 work together. I'm coming right back to this 9 year. See, 7 will complete whatever inner work you did in the 7 vibration. 7 is more internal. Cycles for you. 9 is cycles for all of it, because 9 is the embodiment of all of the numbers, all of the energies. So that's why when the 9 comes, it's like people fear it a little bit because you don't know what is going to end. That's the Oya energy. That's the Kali Ma energy. She is fire. She is the sword of truth. Y'all still with me? I'm going to close out and we can talk about this in the tribe afterwards. Your life is not stuck if you've been watching this. It's asking for you to shift. It's asking for you to remember who you are. And not just who you are with your last name. Not just who you are from your trauma. Some of us identify ourselves too much through our traumas. One of the biggest stories that I had to give up was the black sheep story. Because that black sheep story served its purpose. It served its time. What story, what narrative are you holding on to that has served its purpose, and it's time for you to rewrite a new script? But you will find that once you let it go, there's a script that's already been written for you. Many of us are not tired. We're just misaligned. Many of us are not blocked. We're just out of our true identity, our archetypes. No new year is coming for the old you. I want you to get that. Get that. Put that in the chat. No new year is coming for the old you in this season. That particular moon is a moon energy that we won't see for the next 84 years. Everything that's been happening with these retrogrades and these move of the planets are not happening again for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. We are in the time of eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. So the stuff we're seeing, we may be able to see a correlation in history, but we weren't there. Thank you, DFC, DC. You got to get this, or you don't, because that's where we are too. You can get it or you don't. And you know, in the hip hop, I'm Gen X. You can get with this or you can get with that. That's really where we are. You can get with this or you can get with that. That's where we are. We're in a reckoning season. There are codes that are being dropped, and it's our job to decode the messages in our life beyond a sermon, beyond just, oh, they preach good. Oh, just a hand clap and praise. Oh, I'm going to go dance and shout. No, no, no. Mm-mm. You are the church. So I'm asking you, who have you been pretending to be that you don't even like? There's a you that you don't even like. There's a you that you don't even like. What version of me is coming to die this year? Let's think about the 7 last words, even before we even get to Easter. Into thy hands I commit my spirit. 7 last words. Where did I trade identity for acceptance? Oh, I could lay here right there. I got some stories to tell. We're going to talk about it in the tribe when I finish here. Where did I trade identity for acceptance? This year, this return of the matriarchy was not just about sermons. The realignment of Rebirth International was not just about a pulpit or ministry in a traditional way. I've always known I didn't have a traditional ministry. Yes, April, it is finished. You got it. You see the 7 code speaking? Spirit gave me a system this year. Spirit made it very clear to lead with her who has been forgotten. Spirit said, yes, you're a metaphysician. Yes, you serve in many capacities. But I tagged you in to remind the daughters to remember and to activate. So I have some things that are coming to help us. But this 7 energy, we're doing something in the Rebirth community called the 777 liftoff. And that's not branding, y'all. This is a code as well that I've been using with my clients privately and then in special sessions for years. And the mama of mama said, it's time to remember that code to set up the new year. Lift off is your return to live by design. Lift off is divine order. The mother of mothers saying it's time to lift off. It's time to live by design. It's time to look at the divine order and the divine patterns in your life. It's time to look at feminine leadership and feminine embodiment as a requirement for prosperity to come organically and orgasmically. Prayer without alignment creates exhaustion. It creates doubt. And it's the most insidious kind of doubt, because you don't want to oftentimes confess and say that you're doubting the spiritual or religious systems that you tied to, that you invest in, that you've been taught and mistaught by Big Mama them. Oh, there is a reckoning too in our bloodline for those who didn't. Now, there are those in our bloodline who didn't know that they didn't know. And there are those in our bloodline who knew, but they wouldn't tell because they chose comfort. If you talk to people who are practicing indigenous American Indians right now, this one Indian told me he goes to powwows, and I said something about they. He said, well, when you're talking about the they, he said you need to include the elders who betrayed us. You need to include them in that they. He said, because they knew better, but they were afraid during that time. But when you study the genealogy, when you listen to Rod Hayes, when you watch the documentaries, when you listen to top chief, what is his name? I want to give y'all resources. Chief Top Hats, Top, I can't remember his name, but he has a whole teaching called "We're Black, we're Indian, not Black." When you listen to Dane Calloway, when you look at Ivan Van Sertima, there are scholars that was telling us, okay? I want to invite you, those of you who are not in the tribe. Chief Top Cat. Thank you, Triber. That's a Triber right there. Chief Top Cat. Shout out to Chief Top Cat. Those of you who are not in the tribe and you want to know more, you can DM me, comment in there, 1212. I'm doing a special 1212 activation session that is invitation only. It will not be publicly broadcast. I do this activation, the 1212. Now I'm going to close out with another code, because this is, if you felt amen or ouch, especially ouch, know that this is an opportunity. The 1212, when you do quantum numerology, ends up being the 144, the 144,000 code. Everybody under the sound of my voice is not even designed to be the one who awakens. Everybody is not the one that holds the code, that can decode, that can unlock the doors of your mind, your heart, your spirit, your money, your birthright. But it may be you that holds the code. And it starts with decoding yourself. You hold a code. Mothers who are goddesses, who are awakened to their divine feminine, it's not just for you. It's for our daughters, for our nieces. It's for our mentees. Mothers who hold the code and you have healed yourself from those traumas. It's to pay it forward. Men who hold the code and you know the truth of who the woman is in theology and cosmology and in you. It's so that you can be Peter or Morpheus. We also can't leave out the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It's not all girl power. The feminist movement is a part of the Judas energy. Yes, I said it. Because it never included the mother of civilization, the mother of mothers. So I've gone extra long today. We have a Roots and Rivers genealogy session that we do, but I want to call you to come closer this year, to close out the year with clarity. If you're tired of being in spiritual, emotional, and mental survival mode, to clear it. If you know that you are a part of the 144,000 and you've been quiet, it's time for you to pick up the mic and start talking and teaching again. If you're ready to step into your inheritance and stop circling the same mountain and coming up the rough side of the mountain, it's time for a new story. So this liftoff isn't a launch. It's a return. It's a return to your name. It's a return to your knowing. It's a return to something that you may have turned down in you. And so I say to you, turn down for what? The principle of life is saying it's turn up season. This 9 cycle is ending patterns. It's clearing generational curses. And I do mean curses. We as metaphysicians don't like to talk about curses, but it's clearing metaphysically also generational patterns, mental health issues, undiagnosed energies. It's time to get off the fence, to rise, and join in with the energies of the land. The land is speaking. The land represents our thoughts, our physical. So there's something that you must do. So come on and lift off with us. If you want more information, the link is below. Please, thank you for staying on. I try not to go real Baptist, Pentecostal, or Church of Kojic or with my time. But this is the final series. This series will be available at the top of the year, the whole compilation, but you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the rest of the series, Rebirth with LaTonia. I love you. Thank you for watching. There's nothing you can do about it. Join us in the portal. Ask questions. Even if you disagree and see it differently, we welcome another way for us to see it. See you all on the other side. Have a wonderful, wonderful December.